What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? We are live. It's your main man, Juggernaut of Arkatech Beatz.
Arkatech Beatz.
Multi-platinum production crew. Shout out to my partner, Mike Trauma D. We're here live again with the music production and beat making tutorials. We try to get on every night, close to 9 o'clock. I'm closer to on time tonight than normally. We're trying to get them kids down, but every night we get together, we try to do some stuff as far as music is related. We try to do some music production. We work on the MPC, right? And also I answer questions for anybody who wants to learn anything about the music industry, the music business. For those who don't know about us, like I said, we are multi-platinum producers. Big Pun, Nas, Prodigy of Mobb Deep, Freddie Gibbs, Killer Mike, Lloyd Banks, The Game, Jadakiss. You name it, we pretty much done it. So, every night we get on, we try to cook up, you know what I'm saying? And people who want to watch, they watch along, they ask questions, and I answer the questions. And then we also, we build with the community who want to learn how to do this music thing, who want to learn how to do this, get into this business, you know what I mean? So we're music industry vets, so we're here to kind of just show people our little journey, whatever, you know what I mean? So let's get into it. I got a sample in here. I'm going to play the sample, and then we're going to try to cook it up and see what they do, you know what I mean? Yeah, I like how that's going right now. We're gonna try to get this into that's a long loop. It's about 8 bars, maybe more. But we're gonna get a little tempo map. It looks like we're about in the 80s. Hero, what's up, man? I'll probably speed up a little bit. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. Sharing the live. King David, what up? Let's go. Just getting started. Just getting started. I had a new track. I'll start with our hi-hats. A 16 level it. Barbara, I see you. Yo, Rob, I see you. Yeah, I use synths in the MPC. I use sounds in the MPC all the time. Hold on, let's do something different with that. Let's go. So I'm using the note repeat button to lay the hi-hats down, right? But that's going to lay me down at the 1/16th speed. And I'm using this pad, which is a lower velocity, and I'm going to do something else. more hat in here. I'm gonna add this hat like this. Let's try it again. Let's go. Open hat on that. Let's go. Shout out to everybody that's coming into the live. Shout out to everybody that's liking the live. Shout out to everybody that comes back every night to watch me cooking by 9 o'clock. DJ Dutch, what up? Cook it up. Let's cook it up. Shout out Little Sway. Listen, everybody that's in the live, man. Make sure y'all sharing the live, liking the live. I need the algorithm to work for us. We gotta like the live. Let's go. go. Let's go. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. We're just getting started. So listen, we know this. We got a lot more on this beat. We know we got a lot more sample to go, right? So I'm gonna take this now, take it from 4 bars to 8. Then we're gonna add some additional elements in to kind of fill out our hook, right? Because we need to make sure that that gets filled out the way we need it to get filled out. So hold on before I add anything else in here. Hold on. Well, maybe we add it in first and then I'll go back to it. I want to get this reverse hat in there to kind of give us that transition from the end of the bar going into the verse. You hear the live drum work, right? You hear it. I'm gonna try to get in as much of it as I can. Kind of like last night. Last night we started playing with them drums last night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here, you remember, like, we was doing the crashes and we was doing the fills. So we was getting busy with it last night. It's just, we gotta try to. And what I'm trying to look for now is I'm trying to add a crash to this, and I don't have one in my kit. But I know I downloaded one. I'm gonna use that one right there. Shout out to everybody that's in the live, man. Let's go. I think I got the core of what I want here, right? So All right, y'all ready? Let's get it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to extend this from the 4 bars to the 8 bars, and then we're going to start putting this song together. Shout out Born Ready, thank you for the gift. Hero Beats, thank you for the gift. Let's go. All right, now, I gotta find some toms, and that's what I gotta include into this kit. I gotta include some toms into this kit. I haven't done that as of yet, and I need to do that because now I'm coming across a lot of joints where I want to add toms, but I need to add them in, and I need to, you know how it is with toms, you gotta add them in, and you have to tune them. So I gotta make sure that I have that going on for another session. So check this out now, right? Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to everybody that's watching me cook up real time. Listen, if you got real questions, I got real answers. If you got real questions, I got real answers. You know what I mean? Drop them into the chat. Talk to me, chat. You know, we talk every night. I see a lot of people into the chat, man. Just tell me where y'all at. Tell me where y'all from. But check this out, right? I got the other part. I got another part of the sample here. So now I got my verse. So now we got the sample broken down without the extras. So now this is listen, in this environment, this is what we call a sample maker's dream, right? A sample maker's dream is to have all of the parts and all of them separated. You know what I'm saying? This is a dream for producers right now, you know what I mean? So this is what we're going to do with this now. First, I have to get everything tuned. All right. And then I got to do the mute group thing. So for those who know about the MPC, we do mute groups where we can have one pad, mute the next pad, and this is what helps for clean transitions, you know, with things not carrying over in between sequences. Right, so our original note is on D5, so we want D6 to cut off D5. So just walk with me with this, and then we want D6 to cut off D5, and then D5 to cut off D6. Just like that. An old shaft flicks, right? With Isaac Hayes and Curtis Mayfield composed on those, and Barry White, right? All right, so on this one now, what we're going to do, we're going to name this sequence the hook. We're going to copy this sequence into a new sequence. We're going to call this one the verse, right? All right, so once we do that, we're going to copy it over. Now we're going to write the new part on, right? Started late. 3, 4, go. can do is we could take out some of those crashes that's in the middle of the track. We don't need them. Let's go back and forth between the verse to make sure that we're good, right? We're gonna go back to the hook. Ready? See, that was a clean transition, right? That's beautifully clean, right? Beautifully clean. Now we're going to copy this again. This is going to be our verse part 2, right? Because we got 8 bars on the first verse, and then we need a transition before we get back to the hook. That's going to be our second part of the verse. But this now is going to be 4 bars and not 8. And then guess what? We got another part of the sample. So now we're going to just cut this. We're going to set the mute groups on this too again. This is D7, so this is going to be D6 for the mute group. So we're going to have 2 pads mute that out, and this is going to be D5. So D5 and D6. Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing it in the wrong place. I don't need it there. I need it here. There we go. That's D6. And this is going to be D7. Alright. So now, let's trigger this. Let's get it going. There we go. Snoop J, thanks for the follow. Let's go. All right, we're going to go into the verse now.
Arkatech Beatz.
Ask him, we don't have a name yet. sharing the live, man. Make sure y'all sharing the live, liking the live. Make sure y'all liking the live. Let's go. We here at 9 o'clock, we cooking up. It's multi-platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz, Big Pun, Nas, Prodigy, Mal D, Jada Kiss, The Game, Killer Mike, Waka Flocka, Star High, The Prince. So look, so our song is basically done, right? We got the hook, we got the verse, we got the breakdown a little bit before the verse with the guitar, then we back into the hook. We don't need to do anything else. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Now, some people would say, hey, man, add an elaborate intro and all of that. But listen, man, we're in what we call swipe culture. If you don't get the beat going in the first 3 to 5 seconds, man, they swipe it on you, man. Swipe, swipe, swipe. So all those days of making those beats with the large intros and all of that, them days is over, dead, finished, stinking. Let's go. Sample though, man. Like when you get a beautiful sample like this, it's hard to deny. They got all the elements. And I might just do one more, like a guitar, down, like if I can find it. Shout out to the new followers. Cause look, it got all the elements. It got the strings, it got the bass, it got the guitar licks, and it got the vocal in it. You can't listen, as a sample creator, you can't beg for more than that. Like honestly, like you can't beg for more than that. Like if you get all of that in one, man, you're cooking. Would I redo it with live instruments? Hell no. No reason to. Because it's royalty free. Look, man, if we had to clear samples, man, shit, man, then we'd have to replay it and you still wouldn't get some of the publishing. Like for real, like if you don't, it's like that's the main thing, man. Like with sampling, it's like we have to worry about clearances. So we got to worry about clearing the master recording that's coming from the label. Then we got to worry about clearing the composition and the publishing, which is the writing and the songwriting on it, the melody and all that shit. Like it's 2 different sets of clearances we got to get. And for the master recording, the label can be in your pocket for like, you know, they can say, hey, I want X amount of dollars for X amount of copies that you sell. You know what I mean? So they can get that every time. So that's the game that they play. And then on the back end, we want 50% of the song. So if you get any radio play, you're gonna get 50%. If it get played on Pandora, 50%. If they want, you know what I mean? So you're gonna get killed on the performance royalties, and you're gonna get killed on the master recording. So in my opinion, this is my opinion. This is the person that's come from doing records with platinum artists with records that don't clear. Like you had a song that you hype, you did the record and you hoping that it's going to clear and it don't make the album. It's the worst feeling in the world. It's the worst. It's the worst. So am I an advocate for samples? Yeah, if they clear. And if you're not using those, then we got to go royalty free all the way across. Tracklib, Splice, you name it, Sematics, you got to go sample free or royalty free. Exactly, whatever we need. Interpolation, you still gotta give up a portion of the publishing. You may not have to go through the situation of clearing the sound recording because you didn't actually the master recording. When you don't sample the master recording, that's the actual song itself. Then what you're doing is now you're removing the label portion of clearance, which you have to pay for. So interpolation, now we just have to pay for like the melody. And that's part of like the composing, songwriter, publishing side. So it is two different. It is two different places that you have to sample clear. What it does do is it does give you a little bit more in terms of ownership, but still. It says play a chord down, beat in the key. It would go, but the question is, does it need it? Listen to the hook. The hook got everything. The hook got strings. And it got chords in it. Look, I don't mean to be a lazy producer tonight, but that's really like it's overkill. Like, you know what I mean? This is one of those things where your ego takes over. It says, hey, I got to do something to make it mine. I got to put some extra chords in it and stuff. Man, the rappers don't care about that. What we got to do is we got to get out of the habit of producing for other producers. Other producers don't buy your beats. We got to get out of that habit, the habit of producing for other producers. They don't buy your beats. Think about it. Other producers ain't buying your beats. So what's the point of us making beats for other producers? That don't work. You know what I'm saying? And we got to give the lyricists room to like I talked about yesterday. We have to create space. Right? So this is what I love about this particular sample is that this verse got space. Listen to the space. Everybody that's in the live. It. Once we add the tags in, we're pretty much good to go. Hold on, I got some questions in here that's coming in through the YouTube. 1 second, so I can, I gotta squint so I can read this. Hold on a second. somebody's talking about being taxed. Ash, can I see you, man? So check this out. It says, did I have to go through a legal process for the start of war beat? Nah, man. Listen, because that beat is part of like it's not on streaming. If you notice, that record that we did with Saha is it's out, but it's not out for streaming. You know what I mean? So when it's not out for quote unquote streaming, you can kind of get away with not having to quote unquote clear it. You didn't hear that from me. That's not legal advice. So as long as it's not quote unquote monetized, then you can kind of run with it. But remember what happens with YouTube. YouTube has Content ID. So Content ID is basically like a digital fingerprint for all music. So once a label has put forth the digital fingerprint for a particular song, if it's used anywhere across any social media platforms, it's going to be immediately fingerprinted. It'll be flagged. And then any revenue that's basically earned from that will be routed back to the label and or songwriters, publishers. So we're in an age where you can't really escape. You can't use music that's not yours. Right, and as long as it definitely can't be monetized. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes even if you don't monetize it, they'll flag it and say, hey, it's ineligible for monetization. They don't even try it. Or they're gonna slap their own ads on it. So sometimes they have it too where they say like I want my ads on it. So even if you don't monetize it, they'll monetize it. So I need a name for the beat. So chat, give me a name for the beat. Chat, get some likes up. I like that. This one says no regrets. Hero Beatz says manifesto. That bass line crazy too. I wonder how a filter would sound on this. I like to play with my filters. That's my thing. Just curious. How does a low pass filter sound on this thing? Thanks for playing. Ask, what's the best way to introduce a hit song to a certain celebrity? Man. Yo, I got something crazy. You can tell them I got something crazy, but remember, you can't overhype it. Cause a lot of time when you overhype something, people gonna want to kind of play it down. So your best way is kind of go about it kind of cool. Like, listen, I want you to hear something. Tell me what you think. Give me your feedback. Now, if you know in your gut, or if you have enough data from playing for other people who are on the same caliber, remember that's the key. Same caliber as the artist, or close to the caliber of the artist, whose opinions are as heavy as the artist, or close to as heavy as the artist, that give you the thumbs up and you have the data to support that your music is hot like that, then you would tap the artist and be like, yo, I got something I want you to hear. Give me your honest opinion, feedback. And when they start going crazy, just remain cool until it goes over the top, and then you go from there. He said premonition. I like that too. Listen, man. If intros only worked, if intros only work right now, man. In the beat selling game, the intro is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? What sample did you use for that? Why you do that for Max? I got a tutorial on YouTube, man. You could watch me build a whole record. It's on YouTube. I think they might have muted my audio here on TikTok. So if you go to the YouTube page, I got a whole tutorial where everything comes from, so you can watch me rebuild a whole beat from start to finish. Jedi, what's good? Yo, listen, we gearing up for Max to come home, man. We've been in talks with the camp, so y'all gonna see what it is. I got an unreleased Max in here too. I got an unreleased joint. I got a joint that he recorded while he was in, but I can't play it for y'all. I'm a little upset about that, but I definitely got it. I got a joint sitting in the can right here. You know what I mean? So, and I got a lot of unreleased Raekwon music. Yeah, we got a real batch waiting for him. Listen, when he come home, the hysteria gonna be at an all-time high, and of course, what you got to do, you got to make sure that that you can meet the moment. You got to meet the moment. He's been gone for a long time, so he got to meet the moment. He got to make the right collaborations on the beginning, and just make sure that he doesn't oversaturate it, but at the same time, put out a lot of music. Kind of get a feel for what the fan base want, and then run with it. So wait, what's the name we gonna name for this track, man? Hold on a second. Somebody said Young Star Manifesto, No Regrets, Street Lights. What else? Premonition. What's the name, man? So I don't think Max is ready to just drop. That he gotta wait. Listen, he could do it one of two ways. He could do a bunch of features just to kind of, like I said, just to kind of see what the demand is, man, to see what the streets is feeling, you know what I mean? He can't come home to just drop. I agree with you when you say that. He can't just come and drop. He got to still build up his situation and get people ready for what's coming. Pause. You know what I mean? No Diddy. Right? So, yeah, it's all about gathering the data, man. Because once he come home now, he can just, if he comes home and goes crazy on social, and that's really the main thing, is go crazy on social, man. Start kind of doing a little things, posting your day-to-day, your retransition back in. Start engaging with fans, teasing new music, giving fans a glimpse of what's happening with the wave as he gets home. You don't really need a hit like that, bro. Like, people gonna say you need a hit, but the definition of a hit right now, man, it's not what it need to be, man. What he need to do is make sure that he's building up some strong clothing merch, and I think that's supreme collaboration is the key to that. Is make sure he got a line set up for him, build that merch line up, because remember he got that going on, and just use the music to sell the merch, man. Like, don't really get caught up in that whole, I gotta sell a whole bunch of records, man. That time has passed. And that time has passed. Right, he got a core following, man, so he's gonna easily make a living easy off this music. It ain't like, it's nothing, And then if remember what they started doing too, is they started changing the parameters for bundling. Because an artist like him that got a strong following, he could win with bundles and sell a lot of units with bundles. But them folks don't want you to do that anymore. If you want it to count, so you got to get away from that. So you have to get away from the numbers and start to do everything self-contained on your website. So like for the first release, whatever, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be on streaming. Maybe the single be on streaming, but you got to get the record, straight from his website with the merch and everything as a bundle, and that's how you clean up. You know what I mean? Like, don't fall into the streaming trap. You fall into the streaming trap. That's the way that they try to get artists to lowball themselves and put themselves into irrelevance. No streaming trap. What you do is you put everything to you may let out one song or let out a few songs on streaming and say, hey, you want the rest of it? Let's go buy the album. And then you move your units there. Should he be trying to appeal to kids? Yo, I guess the question that I would ask anybody right now, right, is who had the biggest album that came out last week? If you believe it or not, what these guys are using to sell music from their website, they're doing limited vinyl. They're doing vinyl. Vinyl is what's quote unquote now the collector's item. Guys are doing vinyl and they're selling vinyl for $50 to $100 a pop. Okay, so that's the new way, is to sell vinyl. You got a few guys out here that are still doing CDs. I'm not really keen on that. I think vinyl might be a little bit better because with vinyl you don't got to sell a lot of units. You know what I mean? You sell a few units, and if you bundle that with some clothes, it's over with. So if you put some dope hoodies in, dope tees, whatever, make a big bundle, limited collection vinyl, color vinyl. You know what I mean? Does the MPCX use the SND format? Not to my knowledge. I know it's WAV and MP3s. I didn't see an SND. Well, I haven't seen an SND, so not to my knowledge, but I could be wrong. So I'm gonna name this beat. Let's see. I'm gonna name this beat "Street Lights." Dum Dum, you got it. So we're gonna name that "Street Lights." You got to come home before the street lights come off. Come on before the street lights come on. I think I got one more sample in here that I'm going to try before the night is out. Y'all listen to it. It was dope, but you know I'm not gonna sample that. Yo, you don't realize, man, like, yo, it's the worst feeling, man. Imagine, when I think about it in retrospect, man, when I think about it, like, we used to go to the record store. We used to go to this spot called the Sound Library. It used to be downtown Manhattan. We used to go down there. We used to drive, park up real quick, have a pocket full of money, go in there and be in there for hours, just listening to breaks, listening to stuff. You don't know who come through, Just come through, Havoc come through, people, just all types of people be there. Alchemists come through, people come through. We just say we listening. You're listening to tracks, listening to tracks. You find a record, you're like, damn, this is dope. And then when you find it, when you find the record, you want to hide it. Like, you be like, oh, man, I got to hide the record, right? You're like, because you don't want nobody to see what you got. So you be hiding your shit, right? You be take it, you hide it, be like, damn, I got to take it back to the lab. Pay for it, you go up, you go back uptown. You can't wait to get under the record player, put on the record player, you hear it, you start playing it, like, whoa, it's crazy. You made the beat, it's crazy. You know, you make the beat, it's crazy. You go out, play it for your favorite artists. They love it. They put the verse of the century on it. You're like, man, this is going to change my life. Can't clear. It's the worst feeling, man. So now that I think about it in retrospect, it's like, man, we did all of that work, and we didn't even know if it could come out. We didn't even know if it would clear. We didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So it was like you could have been working. You was working in vain in some cases. So nah, man. So like so like people be like, yo, could you sample this? Can you sample that? I be like, negative. Maximus says, let me come have the NPC. Man, you gotta come get it. Let's get this loop going. Listen, you got a few of those beats sometimes that make you want to rap. Sometimes, man, you be wanting to spit your verse as a producer. You hear something, you be like, I want to spit my verse. But I'm like, nah. Yo, shout out to all the new followers. Shout out to everybody that's liking the live. Shout out to everybody. Did you play that? Man, we sampling, man. This is an MPC, man. We sampling, man. Let's go. So listen. Shout out to everybody that comes into the live every night. Watch me cook up. Shout out to everybody that drops the gifts, the super chats, that's copping the books, that's supporting the channel, who's sharing the channel with friends. I appreciate it. Because what we're building right now, we're building a community of musicians and producers and artists that I'm going to show how to get to the bag. I'm telling you. Let's go. Love that groove. It's a dope groove, man. It feels like a shit talking groove, right? Just talk your shit. Welcome to the Arkatech Beatz show. Let's go. Pippin since Pippin been since been. Feel like I want to just talk crazy on this shit. I love the idea. Just making some dope music, man. So listen, we love to sample movie quotes and put those things to kind of develop the theme of a record. It'd be the same situation though of going through the drama of clearing. It's really the drama of clearing it, because if I was to on our YouTube page again, there's the original version of Capital Punishment, where before Capital Punishment comes in is an excerpt from Lawrence Fishburne, Furious Styles, as he plays in Boys in the Hood. And it talks about that whole gentrification piece. And that's the part that's before the movie, from the movie, that starts off before Capital Punishment goes on. So Pun had that put in there, but we couldn't clear it. So we had to take it out. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's these things that are setting the actual mood of the record. We would use movies like that all the time. We would sample all types of stuff, man. Some of our beats, we still have some of that stuff in there. Godfather stuff. Scarface stuff, like just stuff from various movies that I love, quotes, things that make that kind of can help to. We used to use that to help sell the beats, to be honest, because we were trying to sell an idea or sell a vision. You have to have a vision for your record. Shout out to Young Lord, he would say the same thing. We're going to add that sample in here. Choose Poe, thanks for the gift. we sample this guitar, or it's a guitar sample. So we're gonna add that to it. Sounds beautiful. Let's go. Get ready. Let's go. I said I'm sorry, baby. It's Bigger Valley, not Charlie, baby. I thought I told you before, but you didn't listen. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Sometimes the movie stuff don't get cleared because it's a little bit more complicated than clearing records, in terms of who you have to get in contact with to clear it all, because you got to go through the movie studios and do a bunch of other things. And then on the other level, it's the cost. Sometimes it's significantly more to pay for a clearance coming from a movie versus coming from just a song. I prefer the 3.0. 3.0 to me is better. Someone is asking. Thanks for asking. So now, I got to make this 8 bars. I'm going to double it up. got a whole lot of sample left in here, right? Y'all hear that? Lee Funk is like, what's my thought process on adding on stuff that we already did? It depends, you know. And in this particular sample, it would require a little bit more, but we're a little bit pressed for time. We're already over the hour mark. Typically, I would take a listen to it really heavy to kind of know like what I want to add into it in terms of trying to add different instruments to really just. What we want to do is we want to just make there a clear delineation between hooks and verses, hook verses, mini bridges and stuff. So whenever there's an instrumentation change, we want to be able to make sure that that's there and prevalent so that the artist can know what to put where. Because in this day and age, there's a great chance that you might not be able to be in the same room when they're recording this record. So because that's going to be the case, you want to make sure that there is clear delineation between your hooks, samples, verses, and intros so that when you get the record, it's not all over the place, right? So I hope that helps. Oh, you thought I was a TikTok producer. Nah, I'm that guy, bro. He says, nah, you good, brother. Listen, and that's part of the reason why I have the camera set up the way that I had the camera set up. It's so that people could see the awards immediately and not just say, hey, this is just somebody just trying to whatever call it. No knock to nobody, you know what I'm saying? There's no knock. It's just, you know, I put a lot of work in this game, you know what I mean? Like we really helped to define the New York sound in the early 90s and in early 2000s. Like, you know, we're one of those guys, you know, as we get into the late 2000s, you know what I mean? So after you go through your RZA and Pete Rock, Large Professor, Primo era, right? There was a large feature in the Source back in 2000 where they would call us the producers of the millennium, and that would have us, Alchemist, featured in that issue, Mario Winans, Charlemagne, and a few other guys that were basically being named as the next set of guys that would help shape the sound back then. And listen, he's just coming in. Let's play the beat. Let's play the first beat, right? trying to cook tonight, man. I need a name for that second beat, though. Listen, Anthony on YouTube says he would ask a guy back in the day how he get his sample cleared, and the guy would say, "Hey, I don't get my samples cleared." Look, that's a risk you could take. It is. And listen, you know, and back in the days, that's a risk you could take, right? Because you didn't have content ID, you didn't have digital fingerprints, you didn't have people snitching online, say, "Yo, he sampled this." Like, if you ever see the guy who reconstructs, Mobb Deep, Shook Ones, right? Nobody knew where that sample came from. Having did such a masterful job of tuning it down and triggering it and doing all this type of stuff, nobody knew where that was from. You know what I mean? And after 20 years of the record and nobody knew where it was from, the internet then came out and snitched on him. And if that songwriter now, I think it was a Herbie Hancock record, wanted to come back and sue him for the record, he could. Could you imagine them taking down Shook Ones? Taking down Shook Ones? Because somebody snitched on the sample? So listen, sometimes people take those risks because they feel like the record will go under the radar and, you know, it won't do big enough numbers. But if it do blow up, man, that's your ass. And then labels would be like, yo, when your music come across, they'd be like, nope, we don't want his music. So it's a gamble, man. Because unauthorized use of your music, they carry very severe penalties, man, especially if we're talking about, like, if you copyright your stuff appropriately, you know, it starts at 150,000, you know, on that level if you're starting to sue, you know what I mean? And then you can add the punitive damages, and then if you started to really make money, so if you made a lot of money off a guy's record, he can collect it all. He can take it all from you. You know what I mean? So, don't be that guy. I'd like to thank everybody for the gifts. Yep, Jedi. That's why I tell people you gotta get these books, man. So you know what's going on. Now there's a more up to this sample. So let's listen to it. Let's see if we want to snatch anything else out of it. Hey yo, somebody give me a name for the second beat, man. Let's go. And to the new people that's in the chat, man, where y'all from? Columbus in the house. I hit that groovy Lou. Lee Funk says on the grind. Hero B says Groovy Lou. Evans, thank you for the gift, my brother. Richmond, Virginia in the building. Evans says he called it the respirator. Damn, They can't breathe. Got them in the chokehold. Appreciate y'all for checking in on me, man. Listen, I appreciate y'all for following the live. I appreciate y'all for logging in every night, man. I appreciate y'all asking the questions, man, and wanting to, listen, for people who really want to learn this thing, man. Like this, there was times when I couldn't sleep, man. People, like, if you look at the rest of my team, they all got a full head of hair. I'm the only one that don't got no hair, man. I let this music take over my brain, man. And I understand what it is when a person really wants to get on and really wants to do this thing for real, man. You know what I mean? And then they kind of like, I don't know who to ask. I don't know who to go to. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I remember being in that position. I remember that. And I always said, if I ever got into position, I will help people. You know what I mean? I would help people. I always tell I said I would help people because I know what it was like to not know what to do, not to have a piece of equipment, not to know how I can afford it. Like, you know what I mean? Like nothing. I had nothing. Zilch, nada. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to just give back some of that information, man, and just let people understand what's going on with this business. Things that are happening to me in real time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Things that happen to me in real time. Like, there are so many things that we are still having to navigate through, right? And I thank God for things like, using AI and stuff. And even that, like, I'm putting guys on to using AI. Guys don't really use AI. Guys don't know what to do with that. Guys don't know how to take their contracts and put it in the AI and really interpret their contracts and then go back and forth with their lawyers. Guys don't know how to do that. Guys don't know how to take their royalty statements and analyze it for discrepancies and make it sort this and make it put that back out and let's analyze it via income stream, whether it be streams, video stuff. Like, you're not going to know what to ask. You're not going to know what to put into that thing. Somebody got to help you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we're in that position to do that. So, I just tell people, listen, come into the lives, right? Support the lives. Let's keep it moving. Filter, man. I don't know. I don't know whose idea was to make low pass filtering, but salute to you. That's all I can say. Salute to you. Whoever made low pass filtering, salute to you. And not for nothing, that low pass filter, that triangle low pass filter that FL Studio got, and for those who know, man, it's a beautiful thing. Fruity Love filter, you know what it is. So listen, man. So in my brain, what I'm trying to say is this, right? I want to encourage the people that are in the live to ask as many questions as possible while I'm on the live. I don't have a problem answering the questions, you know what I mean? So I would just tell you to ask the questions I'll give you the best answers that I can as it relates to music business, music industry, e-commerce, social media marketing, Facebook ads, you name it, I can answer. Because I'm that guy. Let's go. Real ninjas with real experience. Make sure we're hitting the like button. Trying to get to 10,000 likes in here, you know. Listen, somebody's asking if I sell the beats. We do offer limited licensing on certain beats. You know what I mean? Like, we're not necessarily selling beats, but we do licensing, limited licensing, maybe only like 2 to 5 licensing per track. And that's really just the barrier that I believe. This is the barrier that I believe will kind of basically separate the men from the boys. People who are really serious about what they're doing, people who say they really want to get into the situation. So, you know, you got to invest in yourself a little bit. And then once we see that you have that investment, you know, we'll take a listen to what you guys are working with, you know what I mean? And then we'll offer feedback, you know what I mean? Like, we're one of those guys that we'll listen to the music, we'll offer feedback. And if it's popping, then all right, we'll even help promote it, you know what I'm saying? Because your success is our success, right? So again, it's just about building the right kind of connections. And I think that's probably part of the issue with the current state of music between the producers and the artists, is that everything is very transactional and it's not relationship built. You know what I mean? So while, yeah, you know, we may have a transaction, but at least I understand, you know, I know who signs up for my newsletter. I know who's, you know, in my lives. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see the names and I'm like, okay, I know this guy's name. This guy's been here, you know, he's been supporting, you know what I mean? So we're going to show that love, you know? It's something about this particular beat, man. It doesn't do a lot of changing, but it got a really good groove. It got a really good groove. And it just really, it vibes. Nah, it's not that. It's not that if we like the artist. It's like this. Like, we sell beats, you know, we just sell it limited. You know what I mean? So, say for example, people say, yo, we really like that beat that y'all had put on last night. All right, so we might make it available, like, on our site maybe a day or two later. And then if, you know, and then basically it's first come, first serve. You know what I'm saying? The first few people that cop it, that it's out of here. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be a situation where, you know, 100 guys got the same beat. You know what I mean? Maybe anywhere between 3 and 5 guys got the same beat, and then made the best person win. You know, at that point, the artist who knows how to promote it and put it out the best is the one that wins. You know, because different people can have the same beat, don't mean you're going to get the same results. You know what I mean? You can always go to our website and see what's available currently, and we tend to update it daily, you know, so just keep an eye out. Arkatechbeatz.com. yo, Hero, leave heavens alone, man. He showed me love, man. He dropped a gift for me. He's good. I appreciate it, man. It's all good. Somebody is asking about the limited licensing. They're asking me, is it limited in number and not time limit? It's a combination of both. Meaning, like this. We'll have a limited number of licensing, maybe for like I said, we'll offer to maybe anywhere between 2 and 5 licenses. That's where we're kind of at right now. That's the thing that resonates with us. And then we'll leave it up for a certain amount of time, and if it sells out fast, then it's gone. You know what I mean? So that's really what it is. Now, if in a case where it may not sell out, we may still take it down and use it for something else. You know what I mean? Asking, I hope I answer your question. Let's see, what up? So, Hero was asking about music syncs. So, my experience with having to get music syncs. Valencia, you got to check out on our website. I think we have a one-on-one function where we may be able to do a review. But check this out, right? In terms of music sync, the music syncs that we've gotten is, we've had people reach out to us directly and say, hey, I want to use this song, that song, so forth, so on. I never really had to go through the situation of, a music supervisor, I never really had to do that kind of thing. And then I've had situations where independent filmmakers come to us and want us to do their movies and their TV shows and stuff like that. So it's different, in that sense. But on Sunday, we will be interviewing a guy who is very heavy in the sync game. He got multiple games in like NBA 2K and that type of thing. So he's a multi-platinum producer. Jay-Z, Mariah Carey, Jadakiss, DMX, you name it, he's done it. And we're going to have a live convo with him on our podcast on Sunday. And I hope to have that episode out on the other channel, Arkatech Beatz Pod. So you can always check that there. And, you'll be able to kind of get some info as it relates to sync. You know what I mean? I may take some clips and post it on our main site. But listen, I'm trying to interview, I'm trying to get people that got the sauce, man. So if I don't got the sauce, I got access to the sauce. No Diddy, though. You said 500 series modules. Who's the modules by? Rob. Listen, we just hit 10,000 likes. Thank you. Thank you guys for sharing the live, liking the live. Thank you for your gifts. And listen, and listen, this is the other thing that I want people to be aware of, right? While we have the licensing and we tell folks, hey, if you're the artist and you're trying to get on something, right? There go some beats that y'all can rock with, whatever. you have the option, of course, to put it out yourself, or you have the option to rock with us. You know what I'm saying? If the record is fire, we might say, hey, we got a distribution deal with Sony and the Orchard. You know what I'm saying? We can always say, hey, let's work out some numbers where we do the splits, and we can put it out through our system so it'll get that look. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're putting it out through, through DistroKid, and those things get lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? They're not prioritized because they're not part of a major label system. The music that's part of a major label system where they get a piece of the money off of, those are the records that get prioritized in terms of discovery and playlisting. So that's really what people don't really understand, man. Like, so that's why I say there's a difference between, like it's a difference of getting a producer and buying beats. It's a difference. You know what I mean? Like, people got to realize it's a difference. A producer is going to come with, some sort of name recognition that's going to be able to help to move the needle for you a little bit. Ilium, I never tried that. How do you deal with difficult clients? You don't. You don't. And that's the thing that we I preach, and I tell everybody, listen, you don't deal with difficult clients, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if people, like, think about it like this, right? Like, I'm trying to help somebody, and I have artists like this, and I do have artists like this. I've worked with artists where I've asked them for nothing, right? I see that they got the right affiliation. I see that they got the right motion, and they got the right, they got the right music, and I would offer the help, right? I would offer the help, and I would offer the help because honestly, we want the music to really be better. Like, if you go through our podcast, it's me and Mike going back and forth, and I'm arguing that music is mid. Like, I've been arguing, like I argue that music is mid. And the reason why I keep saying music is mid is because nobody wants to take any constructive feedback. Or if we're trying to help, guys is acting like, like we don't have the experience, Jay Jitz was asking, who have we worked with? Like, I work with everybody. Nas, Prodigy, Mobb Deep, Jadakiss, Freddie Gibbs, Zaha the Prince, The Game, Killer Mike, Waka Flocka, Shorty Low, Little Scrappy, Raekwon the Chef, RZA, Meek Mill. Now, that was for Jay Jizzle. That wasn't for nobody else. So back to Lee Funk's question. How do we deal with difficult artists? First, we give constructive feedback. And the way they were giving the feedback is like this. For those who work in corporate, how many people worked in corporate before? If you ever work in corporate, you understand how this method works, right? If you work in corporate, what happens is they have this thing what they call the sandwich method, right? Where you're gonna start off with the things that you like good. You're gonna you're gonna go into the middle and say the things that have a little bit of opportunity, and then we're gonna finish with the stuff that feels good, and then we're gonna give a path to how we can get it to be better. It's one thing to give feedback and then just give just blind feedback and not tell somebody how they can get better. That is frustrating for folks. So if I'm going to tell somebody that I don't like something, I got to tell you why, and then I got to tell you how we can get it to get better. If we don't do that, then we're creating a situation where it's just not going to work. Now, after we do that, if I'm telling you what's good, what needs to be improved, right? How we can get there, and that's still a problem, then we gotta move on. Then I gotta move on, bro. Like that's the reality of the situation. If I can't give the constructive feedback, and cats can't understand that, listen, we working and we trying to get better, then what can I tell you? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I you know what I'm saying? Like I got a room full of hardware. You know what I'm saying? Like I got hardware there, hardware here. I got hardware back there. I got a room full of hardware. I don't know what these folks talking about. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm giving you the feedback, that's what it is. And you remember what I tell you yesterday in our live yesterday, is that the whole point of having somebody that can give you feedback is to save you time. I already put in the 20 years. You don't got to put in the 20 years. I put in the 20 years, so all you got to do is use 5. And that's what it is. And so when we're really looking at this thing, when we're looking at this thing, and this is the problem with a lot of us, is that I really think that we don't want to win. I think a lot of us are programmed to lose. I think a lot of us are wired to lose. And I wonder about that sometimes. Especially when you're on TikTok, because you go like if your algorithm is like how my algorithm is, it's like, are we hardwired to lose? Like, do my people just want to lose at everything? Man, don't give up producing causing no stress, man. Put your music out, man. And when we get those difficult artists, we don't work with those, man. We get those people who want to be crooked and want to, scam the system and want to do this and want to do that. Always want to be, always trying to find a way to cut costs and cut corners. And don't get me wrong, cutting costs, it's smart to be budget friendly. But for those who are always trying to cut every single situation, who want to undermine everything, we gotta leave those people where they are, bro. What they saying online now? Black fatigue? I call it rap fatigue. Yeah, and listen, and this is part of the reason why, I do the lives. Right, we do the lives, and I believe that the lives is gonna be where we giving the game out. We're giving a lot of game out, and some people are very reciprocal. Some people give gifts, and I appreciate those people giving gifts because they appreciate the game. They giving the gifts. I appreciate it. I'm not asking for them to do it, but it's nice. It's a nice gesture. Can I buy a piece of? Can I go to Chick-fil-A? Can I get a sandwich? You know what I mean? So it's all good, right? Now in the other cases where folks is like, hey, send me a beat. I got beats on the website. If you can mess with it, that's what it's there for. People's like, can I review certain stuff? Yeah, there's a one-on-one option. Go to the website if you need to book it, because my time is valuable, right? So people, you got it's a give and a take here, right? So time is valuable. We got to work it out. Yeah, because I call it rap fatigue because rappers, like I see guys losing, man, and guys is losing and they don't really gotta lose, man. They losing because of their egos, and that's the reason why they lose. It's like they lose because of their egos, man. And say what you want to say about a guy like Drake, and I say this often enough. People talk about Drake and his this and his that, and I'm like, no, Drake has figured it out. Drake has figured out that, listen, you need a very, very strong team, strong production team, strong writing team to stay on top, right? Because you guys see it. There are some nights when I get in here and I get writer's block. There's some nights where the beat don't come out fire. There's some nights where where it just be dry as hell, right? So the question is, like, if you're going through something personally, that affects your music. Like, that affects your music. So the question is that, how do you get over the hump when your creativity isn't, popping like it once was? You got to get help. You know what I'm saying? So this is a guy who knows how to surround himself with the right type of help, right? And he knows how to be inspired by other artists to keep himself fresh and keep it going. Now, if more of my legacy artists had taken the same approach, their careers would have been as long as Drake's, but it would have been on top for as long as it was. You know what I mean? So sometimes guys got to get away from all of the issues and, the egos of, I got to write it myself. I got to pen it myself. I got to do everything myself. Like, nah, it's not always like that, man. Especially when you get to a point where you can reach a plateau and you want to keep going. Or if you want to stay consistent, you got to sometimes get the help. Royal, these are our books. Yes. We have 4 books. We have the Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration. That is free. That is free at arkatechbeatz.com. If you get a paper copy, then of course that's not free because you got to pay for print. However, the Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, that is free at our website at arkatechbeatz.com. It kind of gives songwriters the blueprint to what they need to do to register their songs, right? Hey, Jay, you got to go to our website and you got to try to book a one-on-one, man, if you're trying to submit anything for review. Oh, you said there's a void because he stopped giving the stimulus package because that's how good he was. See, that's the thing. People were trying to act as if his stimulus package wasn't really impacting music. And now that he's not giving out them stimulus packages, y'all can see that, all of a sudden, where's all the dope music at? Oh, okay. I thought that region was popping. Oh, it's not popping like you thought it was. Oh, I thought that producer was popping. Oh, he is not popping because Drake ain't on it no more. Oh, you see? Oh, if you guys is that dope, go get a beat from Alchemist and see if you can make it go. If you guys are that dope, let's see if you can really do it. You see what I'm saying? So once the stimulus package is over, now guys are starving. Now everybody's backpedaling. And guys is not, saying we didn't mean it that way. Or, man, it's not that serious. Okay. If I'm Drake, it's serious. So what VST do you recommend? If I'm being honest, I haven't been using that many VSTs. I use some of the sounds that are in the ASR, in the MPC. The MPC has some packs, some expansion joints, some joints that I use. You know what I mean? What I have been doing is I have been downloading my samples. So say I want a certain type of sound, I might be sampling an individual sound, and then I might replay that. Or if there's certain sound libraries that are in the MPC right now that are really nice. The Fabric one is kind of dope. The Sub Factory is pretty dope. And there's a few others. Hold on, I could tell you. If I go to plugin, they got a few plugins in here that are pretty decent. This Fabric Fabric XL is pretty good. The stage pianos, these studio strings, Sub Factory, the Tube Synth is pretty good. And these are really just the basic plugins that it came with. I didn't buy anything extra, to be quite honest with you. And then in my FL Studio, the ones that, of course, you have to have, of course, like the Nexus joints. You have to have those, and then a few other joints. It says, do you work with top liners? I'm not familiar with that term. What's a top liner? Yeah, Alchemist always got a dope pack. Yeah, the one that's in here, that's in the Kai, it's called Sub Factory, and they had given us a license to that, and that one is pretty dope. Richard, what up? Anybody that I'm working with right now, I do have a friend that's been in the business a long time. She's a really dope writer. She's wrote for like Whitney Houston and a bunch of other folks. Miss Ebony Burks, you could check her out. You know what I mean? She's a dope songwriter. A few other folks. Calvin, what up, man? Let's play the first beat, which we named Street Lights. And we have beat number 2. I don't think we got a name for that yet, though. Timeless, I like that. appreciate that. This one is definitely a vibe, man. I still wanted to see if I could just use the second part. Peace, Royal. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions as it relates to it, man, we're here to answer that. Shout out to everybody that's in the live. Shout out to everybody that's sharing the live. Shout out to everybody that's liking the live. Thank you for anybody sending any gifts, super chats, etc. So what I hope to see, and honestly, because I guess tomorrow would be a month that we've been going. We've been going a month straight, actually. Right, we went a whole month so far. Because I just started doing this, and I enjoy it. I at first I was like nervous, like, man, how am I going to be cooking up in front of people? Like, people are going to be watching me and critiquing how I make my music. You know what I mean? Like, I always like to make my music in extreme solitude, and then, you know, of course, I then go to my cousin, and me and my partner, we then go back and forth and like, yo, this beat is this and this beat is that, you know. And honestly, like you know, he typically gives me real ones respect the process, man, and it's really about the process of learning or really watching what we're doing in real time. And sometimes I go silent and I'm here because I'm trying to figure it out. Sometimes music can feel like a complex math problem or a puzzle that you're trying to piece together, because you're trying to find out what instruments go with what instruments. And then is the technical aspect of it, right? Because the musical thing is one thing. Now we have to translate what we hear musically and technically put it down into an arrangement. So sometimes that can be a little daunting for some people. It's translating what's in your head to what's, you know, to put it into this kind of platform and making it sound cohesive. And then, you know, but it takes time. Richard, I appreciate that. So all I'm trying to do really is I'm just trying to share and really share my experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. You know, lately what I've been trying to do lately is I've been helping producers honestly try to collect their money, you know, and that's really been a big thing for a lot of producers. It's like, you know, the labels, it's like they've created this system of convolution. I don't know if that's even a word, a convoluted system that's meant to really just discourage people. Like, it takes so long, and they slow walk it in such a way where I just think they hope that you give up and then you never collect the money that you owed. So how do I get a good sound like this on the live? It's because I'm doing one of two things, right? Is I'm not using my phone. I am using Streamlabs, and if you're interested in using Streamlabs, there's probably a link in the description on one of the YouTube videos, the live YouTube videos. You can kind of go through it there. But I use Streamlabs, and then I use it with a audio interface. So because I'm using an audio interface with the microphone, and everything is plugged in to the audio interface, and then we're able to do that because now I'm able to stream simultaneously TikTok. Right now, there's people on Facebook that's in the live. There's people that's from YouTube that's on the live. There's people that's on Kick. There's people that's on Rumble. And there's people that's on Twitch. So that's everybody. That's really all platforms that I'm streaming across, and Twitter. I can't forget that. So I stream across every platform. So if you miss it on TikTok, well, if you're not on TikTok, you can find it on any other platform. And then if you want to watch the replay, you just watch it on YouTube, because YouTube is the only place that keeps it. But yeah, I was really trying. Listen, I that was part of the reason that kind of prevented me from going live, was I needed to find a way for people to hear the music. I didn't want to play the music where you would just hear it through, play it through my speaker and you hear it in the microphone. Like it just didn't give me what I wanted it to have. I wanted it to sound as I hear it. I want you to hear it how I hear it. So when I'm over here playing with a sub bass or something like that, I want you guys to hear that too. And say, okay, he's not picking the right note. What's he doing? What's going on? He tripping. You know what I mean? And then I had bought these mics for a podcast. I had a Rode Podcaster unit, and I was doing a different podcast with my brother, and that was more on a political thing. You know what I mean? But people don't like political talk. Well, no, they like political talk if you're gonna have a strong opinion about stuff that you probably shouldn't have a strong opinion about. What up, man? You late to the party. So that beat, we named that beat Timeless. He said, I hear you. I just got banned because he posted a political vid. Listen, man, it's gonna get better. It'll get to the point where people can voice their opinions without being like I've never seen a situation where a person can have a political opinion and a person gets so angry. Like they get so angry. Like it's just an opinion, man. Like it's just an opinion. Like I don't understand it. Like we're supposed to be entitled to an opinion. My gosh, like you know what I mean. And you know what was really telling was when me and Mike was going back and forth during the Drake and Kendrick thing. Oh my gosh, if you had an anti-Kendrick opinion. Oh my gosh. Like you could not have an anti-Kendrick opinion. It's like you couldn't have it. And it wasn't even anti. A lot of my opinions, I had a lot of criticism, And when I was telling people in the beginning, I'm like, yo, this doesn't feel organic. People came for my neck. You can go back for them videos, and I'm like, listen, this does not feel organic. It feels contrived. It felt contrived. It felt orchestrated. And I kept saying it. And, now everything in the lawsuit is being covered up, right? Now you can't see anything. Nothing. Now it's not public anymore because it was orchestrated. Steven is asking if he worked with any of the guys from the Griselda. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're working on that. Yeah, but people take it personal, but I feel like, listen, I feel like I'm in a position to have a qualified opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I should have a qualified opinion. If I've been in the room with Big Pun, Nas, Raekwon, RZA, Jadakiss, The Game, I should have a qualified opinion. You know what I'm saying? So if I got a qualified opinion and I'm just saying, yo, this record is okay. I don't really understand why it's so big. It's okay. It's a regional record. Normally a regional record is not that big. Normally it doesn't do that. A sound that's relegated to one region, typically it goes for a little while, but it doesn't do 10 Grammys. Like, it just doesn't do that. It's like, what I'm saying? It just doesn't do that. I've been here 20 years. It doesn't do that. You know what I mean? So that's just an opinion, based on some history. And, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It did what it was supposed to do. And I think also the real lesson in this, is, one, when you're at the top of your game, you never entertain the people that's below you. Period. It's kind of like you having 1 million followers and then you got one person in your comments trolling, and now you decide to answer the person that's trolling, and now you just gave your 1 million audience to that person. You should never do it. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson that you should get from this is like this. When Prince and Michael Jackson and these guys were talking about concerted efforts from labels to kind of dismantle their careers, now we see it happening in real time, right? So now, for people who thought that these guys were conspiratorial or had some sort of conspiracy theories going on, that was furthest from the truth. These things were really happening. So I feel like, so again, people got to pay attention to how this business works. And look, people have short memory spans. That's another thing you got to learn. The person that helps people the most doesn't get the most credit, right? Because say what you want to say about a stimulus package put money in people's pockets. A stimulus package helps people's careers be longer. It helped to elevate certain artists that wasn't getting the elevation from the label, right? And it was giving artists, it was extending people's careers in some cases. In some cases, some artists' careers were being extended by the stimulus package. And then the most important thing that we learned from all of that, from all of it, is how ungrateful the people that you help can possibly be. Royal, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that probably stood out to me the most was, wow, how can a person that helped so many people be hated in such a fashion? So that showed us that, hey, a person can take from you and really don't really give a fuck about you. And that's what probably was the worst part of it. Like they really didn't fuck with you. They just wanted to use you for what you was able to do for them in real time. But they never really fucked with you. They always felt that you was corny. They always felt that you was a fuck boy, and they never really liked you. But we'll keep going to the studio. We'll keep taking music from you. Yeah, I don't really like that. Yo, Zach, the help can't be mutual if we don't have the same following, right? So if Future got 10 million followers, and Drake got 50 million, that's not mutual. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the difference. It's like, it's not mutual. One person is benefiting way more than the other person. You know what I'm saying? So the way that they try to make it seem like it's a mutual benefit, it's not a mutual benefit. One person clearly is the draw. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, it's clearly a one-sided situation. You know, and if you really think about it, that person came down to your level to do your thing, to expand your audience to his audience. You know what I mean? Listen, I don't see that. I don't need that. I don't see that fresh blood on that Nokia. People say he need fresh blood to stay relevant. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. You don't need no fresh blood, bro. He was helping those guys. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see now the music gonna have no features. Now you're gonna see who needs who. Who hot right now? I'll wait. If let me ask you another question. If DDG would have got a Drake feature, how much units would this album would have done? How much? How much numbers would he have done if he had got a Drake stimulus package? You see what I'm saying? Like them days, listen, man. People, he gotta just give the props, man. You gotta give the props. And I'm saying it from a person who worked at the label. I worked at the label, bro. I worked at the label. You have to realize during our era, it was Def Jam and it was Loud Records. It was Def Jam and Loud. You couldn't get bigger than that in the rap game outside of being on Cash Money. You know what I'm saying? And this is really before Cash Money really took over in dominance. But yeah, Def Jam, DMX, Jay-Z, Redman, Method Man. And then you had Loud Records, Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, right? Big Pun. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we talking about? You know what I'm saying? We talking about two powerhouse labels, and we talking about seeing how the music industry works. Yeah. Calvin says Monica Lewinsky today go write a book. Listen. If DDG would have got the Drake album, a Drake stimulus, because listen, he had the connection to Aiden Ross, right? It's just bad timing. It's bad timing. He's reaching out to Drake at a time where Drake is not giving out that. He's not giving out that stimulus package no more. He's not doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't blame him, because why do it for people that then people cross your back? You know what I mean? It's bad timing. That guy's album should have did a lot better than it did, and it's not for me. It's not for me. But, you know, considering how much traction he had, album should have did way better than it did. Yeah, he ain't messing with nobody. It's a rap. And Zach says DDG is buzzing for the wrong reasons right now. Yo, y'all don't find it interesting that happened a week after his album dropped? You know what I mean? Like, you know, a week after his album dropped. Listen, man, it's wild. It's wild, man. It's wild times. And if y'all watching that Diddy stuff, it's like, yo, it's like a guy can't have a girlfriend, man. If you got a girlfriend and you go and y'all too intimate, and it's too, what you call it, now it turns into something different. Like it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. Like it's crazy, man. And don't fly your girlfriend out of state. You know what I mean? Like then you're trafficking. You know what I mean? They said they don't want no streamers blowing up on the music lane, bro. I see that. I see that. I see that. They don't want they really don't want the streamers to be blowing up on the music lane. I see that. Because I can't listen. The way that this guy was on everything, this guy was everywhere. I couldn't escape him in my timeline. He was doing the regular radio run, Angela Yee, he was everywhere, right? Breakfast Club, everything. The album should have did more, bro. And Playboy Max. Album should have did better. I think the album should have did better. So which kind of makes me feel again that, that the label really didn't push the button. And then he said something that made me I made a video about it where he was telling the label not to copyright strike people that want to react to the album. So I'm like, yo, if the label is not copyright striking people and people can share his album and share his music, then he should have did bigger numbers. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? Like from that strategy alone, like that's part of the reason why music can't do what it's supposed to do is because people can't share it without being copyright strike. So if I got a channel or if I got a monetized channel, I'm not taking a chance of putting somebody's music on it that's going to help to demonetize me. I'm not going to do that. So a lot of people don't share music because of that, right? They don't want their music to get muted or something like that. So something ain't adding up. You know what I mean? But Royal just said that. Yo, they really don't want the streamers blowing up like that because if the streamers start to blow up on music, then it's going to basically turn the whole system upside down. And I don't think they want to do that. But we about to find out. So I got Timeless. We had a good live tonight. Timeless. And then we got Streetlights. Yeah, these were great samples tonight, man. So sometimes I get winners, man. Some joints was winners. The joint last night was dope too, though. For those who was here, check out that live yesterday. Those were special. You know what I mean? Those were special last night. You know what I mean? So we doing our thing. We making it work. We making it do what it do. Shout out to everybody that shared the live. Shout out to everybody that liked the live. Shout out to the new followers. Shout out to everybody that sent gifts. I appreciate y'all that sent the gifts. Shout out to people who bought any books tonight. Royal, I see you. I appreciate y'all, for supporting. If you have questions, I'm here to answer the questions. I will answer the questions as best of my ability. But I will tell people, that I am. I'm a little bit past Unk status right now. So being past Unk status, I have a lot of lived experience. And, not from just being an entrepreneur, but, also being in the corporate sector and the private sector, so, if you got questions as it relates to, your business is one thing. If you got questions as it relates to networking, that's another thing. Social media marketing, e-commerce, website development. You know, people in the hood used to call me a technical goon. They like, yo, you know a whole lot, but you be ready to box. I'd be like, yeah, it's the Bronx, man. In the Bronx, you have to have duality, man. You got to be smart, but you gotta know when to be aggressive. You know what I mean? All my brothers out there, make sure y'all staying in the gym, man. Stay in the gym, man. Stay in the gym, man. Any questions before I get up out of here? We've been live 2 hours and 20 minutes. They said, where's the money at? They say, where's the money at in the music business apart from the stage? The money in the music business is in it's in a few places, right? So if one, you have to think a combination of micro and macro. And people say, well, what do you mean when they say micro and macro? On a macro level, you need to release a lot of content, a lot of music. So that's a macro level. On a micro level, it has to be for a specific audience, right? So that's the whole point of releasing a lot of music, so you can get enough data to understand who is going to be your key demographic, your key constituency, your key community. And where the money is you use your music to, again, sell your other situations, which is your stage situations, your merch, and your collector's items. What artists have to get back to is they have to get back to selling collector's items. And, you know, what we never regarded records as collector's items, but they actually are. CDs, tapes, cassettes, vinyl, those are collector's items. Those are things that we would cherish when we were growing up. And it was more than just playing that music. It was having that album and having the liner notes and having, like, for those who may be like a Wu-Tang fan, if you remember getting that purple tape from Raekwon or something like that. Like, these things turn into collector's items, right? So, yeah, people have to now, you have to remember, like, that is now, they want you to believe that that's no longer the music business, but that still is the music business, right? And remember, music is the medium in which they sell everything, right? You can't sell a movie without no music. You can't sell any products without any music right now, bro. So what they try to tell you is that, oh, there's no money in music, but these motherfuckers is going all the way to the bank with your music. They buying them goddamn catalogs. They programming a generative AI. They're you know what I'm saying? They're doing all types of stuff in terms of taking people's catalogs and repurposing people's catalogs. Like, why would they want that shit if it didn't have any value? They want it because it has value. And what happens with these guys is that they have been very masterful of creating the platforms for exploitation, right? So yeah, they want to know, they know how to exploit the entire food chain. And the way that I can explain that is like this, right? Is, say, for example, people would say, yo, buy McDonald's or invest in a McDonald's. You need a McDonald's, right? Yeah, invest in McDonald's. All right. That's the macro level, right? We invest in McDonald's. But what about all the shit that make McDonald's run? You say, what do you mean? Who make the ketchup? Who make the plastic forks? Who make the cups? Who supplies the Coke products, right? Like, so look at all of those places that we could have also invested in and got money. We could have invested in all of those things that helped to make McDonald's. And that's the problem with us, that we just don't think that way. All we think about is the music, whereas they monetize everything in between the music. They monetize the equipment, they monetize the distribution, they monetize the shrink wrap, they monetize the vinyl pressing, the CD pressing, and we have to start thinking about ourselves and the products that we make in that type of fashion. Is to monetize it from beginning to end. So just don't look at it like, just don't look at it like, I just gotta, make some good music, and yeah, that's part of it. You know what I mean? But you have to also think about the situation is that once you start to develop your sound, once you develop your voice, and when I say your voice, meaning your message, once your voice is developed, then you can be in a situation where you can start to really understand what your power is. And then when you understand what your power is, then you can really start to monetize things for real. So we have to really start thinking about it like that. I think a lot of us as artists, we just kind of lost our way and just say streaming. And it's like, nah, man, that's not where it is all at, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, those guys, like the CEO of Spotify makes more money than any artist on the platform. How is that? How he had a music platform and he made more money than everybody else? You know what I'm saying? It's because it's a technology platform. It's not a music platform. You know what I mean? So make producers great again. I don't want my channel to get banned. You can't really put anything that got, you can't put anything remotely close to a MAGA acronym. You know what I mean? People get mad. people get mad, bro. I ain't never seen no shit like that. People get crazy. Well, Royal, I hope I answered your question, man. You know what I'm saying? But what I want people to start doing is, listen, let's start making music again. You know what I mean? Like, let's start making music, man. Let's start making music, and let's start getting used to putting out content. Like, those are the two monsters right now that people have to conquer. Like, you gotta get this content out, bro. Like, come hell or high water, you gotta get this content out. If you're not getting this content out, you're losing. And listen, it's free right now to put your content out, but I bet in the next 5 years, you got to pay to put your content out. AC, the program director, said, yo, you make whack music, though. Yo, man, trolling to get you far. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. But anybody else got any questions? Who else got any questions in the chat, man? Chat, ask me some questions, man. Distribution. I'm going to suggest United Masters. I asked you about the SaaS business. I can't say that I'm 100% familiar with a lot of the SaaS stuff. I see a lot of people talking about some of the SaaS stuff, but I'm wondering if a lot of it is cap. Yeah, people make instrumental albums. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely instrumental albums. I think people should put out more instrumental albums. I believe that all producers should put out instrumental albums and put out as many as possible. I think you should put out as many as possible, man. Like if anything. And the reason why I tell people to put out as many as possible, I tell people to put out as many albums as possible, man. Yeah, albums with samples, yeah. As long as they're royalty free. Yeah, put out as many as possible, man. Listen, as long as you're putting you're adding to the music, you're okay to put it out. Nothing stops you from doing that. You just can't put out the samples of somebody else's samples and say it's your samples. That makes sense? Calvin, where'd you get flagged at? That's Rock. How do these producers get all these major samples cleared to release on platforms? They're not clearing them. What they're doing is they're putting it out and they're generating some information. Generating some money. And then once they generate the money, they may go back and clear it behind what you call it. Do I believe it costs $40,000 to get a song on the charts? Nah, it's less than that. No, when I said Calvin, I meant where did you get the samples from? Because and then when you say you got flagged on TikTok, meaning did they take it down or did they mute the sound? And the way that you're supposed to do that with TikTok too, especially when it comes to sound. Oh, it's a secret. All right, my bad, dog. Listen, if it gets flagged, then it's not royalty free. You see what I'm saying? That means that the people who are selling it that says it's royalty free may have got it from somewhere that's not royalty free. And you got a bunch of guys out there that are doing that. They're sampling the shit and saying that it's royalty free and they real. I tried to release a song with a sample and DistroKid wouldn't let me release it. So listen, remember what DistroKid is doing now. DistroKid has become the biggest gatekeeper in terms of if you're asking me, and this is what I'm alleging, this is my opinion. DistroKid is like still has like a minority share of it being owned by Spotify. And what their job is to do is to circumvent paying independent artists. So what they're going to do is, they're going to block independent artists from putting certain songs up. They're going to ask you to get certain release information where they used to never ask for it before. And then if you promote your record a certain type of way, and if it looks like you're getting too much views too fast, they'll remove those streams and say that they're automated or bots. So I wouldn't use DistroKid at all at this point. Like I had some releases on there, and I took some of them off, and then I don't really do anything really to do DistroKid anymore. Yeah, United Masters seemed to be the way. I tried to do TuneCore, and TuneCore had more hurdles to release my music than DistroKid. Like it was much, much more complicated to put out. And then they were not counting certain streams and all of this stuff. Yep. People sell stuff on Bandcamp. That's a way to go. That's direct to consumer. Yeah, you don't gotta use DistroKid, man. I see a lot of people using like United Masters. You can use pretty much any other one, but DistroKid. Listen, DistroKid has when I started using DistroKid in the beginning, man. I started using DistroKid. Shit, maybe 2012, right? Give or take, right? I started using DistroKid. I used DistroKid very early. And, at the time, it was a great thing. You pay one price for a year. You can release as many albums as you wanted. But then we had that situation where they had that mass takedown. And they were just taking down people's music. And I'm like, yo, what gave them the right to take down people's music? Or they suggested that it was streaming fraud. You didn't have any way to prove it. And we had no way to fight it. I didn't like that. I had guys' music being removed that we pay for legitimate promotion for, but it's because they deemed it as streaming fraud because they didn't want to pay the royalties. So it was a money grab. So ever since then, I stopped putting my music there. And the whole Spotify 1,000 stream thing—that's all a money grab. You know what I'm saying? That's to basically, use your music for advertising dollars, but don't have to pay you for any royalties. So what I recommend now is telling people to use United Masters for the most part. Or if you have a big enough social media following, try to apply for Rock Nation. You could apply for Rock Nation distribution. It's a boutique situation. A lot of these boutique distribution will help you out if you got enough traction. I'm about to get up out of here, y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Hero says play 40 below before I bounce out. Hold on, let me see if I can bring it up. Let me play the timeless beat real quick. Yo, that's Rock. I appreciate you. Let me see if I can load up that other beat. What was it? 40 below, you said? You said 40 below. You want to hear 40 below. 40 Below beat. Where's that at? Oh, 40 Below Boots. I could just see it. I could just see that album cover now. And you gotta find a scuff pair of 40 Belows too. Like it gotta be like scuff, like you know what I mean. Got a little blood on it from kicking somebody in the back, something like that. Hold on a second. Those crazy right there, right? Yeah, that was from yesterday. Shout out to Hero. About to get on out of here. Appreciate y'all, man. Like, for real. Appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow's Friday. I got to come out with something live because, people, be bored. So, I got to make sure that, it's live for tomorrow so we can have a lit live stream. You know what I mean? Everybody, I appreciate y'all, man. Make sure y'all stay safe, man.